I joined the Marine Corps in 1947 and went from Seattle, Washington, where I joined because I went out to visit my sister before I went in, and to San Diego, and I graduated with an honor platoon 73 at San Diego Recruit Depot. And from there, I had 10 days off and I had to report to San Francisco and was put on a ship and we went overseas. And originally I was supposed to go to Honolulu, and but my orders got changed in the middle of the ocean and they sent us all to Guam, and we were a training unit on Guam for a little over a year. And the first opportunity I had, I put in for a transfer. They sent me to Japan, where flew into Yokosuka, but and was stationed in Yokosuka as a guard duty. And then I was promoted into the MPs, so I was an MP in Yokosuka for almost 10, 12 months, and then I got transferred up to Tokyo for a month and a little over a month at Commander Comnav Fee. We were the security unit for his thing there. And I was sent back to Yokosuka and was ready to be sent back to the United States because I had served my couple years overseas, and they cut off all transfers back to the States. So I went and volunteered to go to Korea. The Korean War just started. And I took a minesweeper from Yokosuka, which is a naval base, and to South Korea. And it was just, I got there just after they had formed their defense line around Busan. And we went around on the boat to Incheon, made the Incheon landing, and then proceeded up through Seoul and secured all that area and got back on the boat again. Went around to Hamhung and landed there. That's at the bottom of North Korea. And we proceeded for the next, I guess it must have been close to 4 months, up into North Korea, and all the way, we were on patrols all the way up to the Yalu River. And we didn't have too much resistance when we first went up there until the Chinese come in the war. And that's when everything went kind of blew up. Although I guess I could save them for my life, thank them for my life, because when they come into the war there, the bombs were going off, and I was in reserve platoon behind the hill, and my mouth, I couldn't open my mouth. It was frozen shut. My whiskers had grown over my mouth. My eyes were frozen shut. I couldn't open my eyes. I had to claw my way through to get it done. First thing I did, though, was take my razor out of my backpack and clipped off the mustache so it wouldn't do it again. And then we just proceeded to get together, and we were told by the President of the United States that we were to attack in the other direction, as we call it. And we started proceeding out of the chosen. That was when it was 54 degrees below zero. And I froze my feet. My hands, still to this day, there's no feelings in my fingers. And I was on part of the guard that covered the flanks as the main group went down through to where we were originally stationed. And it took us, I don't know, must have been a couple of weeks. I have no idea. Time, you lose track of time. But we had one bit of order that we had to follow, and that was we take no prisoners. We had no place that we could handle prisoners, which was a little difficult because, you know, you had to dispose of them. And we finally made it all the way down to where our original base was. And this was about I would say it had to be around the middle or the second week of December. And I was again placed on guard duty, protecting the rear of our unit that was on its way out, fighting its way out. And during that time there was a lot of firing, and it was very difficult. A lot of wounded, a lot of dead. We had truckloads, 6x loads of frozen dead bodies when we came out of that, from up above. And we took all of our men with us on the trucks. We loaded them and took them out. It's one thing about the Marine Corps, they'd leave none of their wounded or dead behind. They'd take them. And during that affair down, I forget the name of the little town that we were the rear of, but during that time, the Chinese come in the war big time, and they were attacking us down there. And I was wounded by enemy fire. And for the first time, I run into an old buddy of mine from back home that lived a block away from me, Jimmy Dunn. And he got me out of there. Had the corpsmen come in and, with their stretchers and carried me out of there. I got a gunshot wound in the right leg. It wasn't a serious wound, but I couldn't walk on it. It was impossible. They took me to the airport and they flew me back to Japan. So my tour, that was December 7th when I was shot, which is a very famous day in our history, Pearl Harbor Day. And so I never forget it. That date I can remember. And they flew me, I got one of the last flights out of that to Japan, and I was in the hospital there for a while. And I had my orders to be transferred back to the States because I had already, you know, used up all my time plus the 6 months that I spent over there. And basically, that was it. I got on the ship, and within the next couple of months, and they sent me back to where I originally joined, which was in Seattle at Pier 91, and I was on guard duty there. And from there, I was sent down to the Western Division rifle matches because I was an expert rifleman. And so I fired in the matches that year. And I didn't do that well. I did okay, but not, it was okay. And then back to Seattle, and then I was on guard duty there until the day that I got discharged. And a year before I got out, when I first got up there, I had made arrangements for some interviews with a company, Allied Stores Corporation, as a matter of fact. And the CEO of the company hired me with a year to go in the service yet, so that the day that I got out, I went to work before I even moved into a house.